Okay, and we're gonna have at her. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the topic for today is getting ready for 2024. So it's early in the year, it's before the real estate season has begun. There's probably some things that you should do to maximize what your business can do over the season, but then throughout the year. Obviously, this stuff will pay dividends for the whole year. So gearing up for 2024 means looking back at 2023, figuring out what worked and what didn't, setting goals for 2024, and coming up with strategies or tactics you can implement. So that's
They can't see our screen.
so
We will try and share our
I'll jump
screen
into this
again.
too, Chris.
come on. Oh, it just didn't work. Okay, now it's working, right?
Yeah, you should be good. All right, we will confirm, but I think it looks like you should all now be able to see our presentation. Perfect, we've confirmed. All right.
We got this, easy. Okay, so are we gonna say, Michael, jump in?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one thing we know, the residential real estate business is very cyclical. Every year, ebbs and flows. You've got a peak in the spring market, April, May timeframe, and then another peak kind of around that September timeframe. But, going into the first half of the year, this is where most of you who are in this business, this is where you make your bread and butter, right? So this is the time to be planning. And so, we've talked to a number of the photographers. I've spoke to a number of our photographers over the last couple of months, and, that's when they spend their time in November, December, and in the beginning of January, really thinking about their goals for the next year, and kind of doing an analysis and looking back at 2023. And I think the evaluation of the previous year is a very key point to, looking at your business and what how you did in that last year. And so there's a number of considerations to take into that. And I think one of the big things is I hear a lot of anecdotal information from a lot of our customers that I talk to, from time to time. And, I think one thing that we even look at in our business, there's a lot of anecdotal stories of things that have happened throughout the year. But what's really telling is really diving into your analytics, diving into the numbers, understanding exactly what did happen. And quite often you'll be surprised that, hey, some of it does line up with what you thought, but there's always information that you gather from diving into particularly your sales numbers, customers, customer retention. These are all things that you want to look at, and how much you sold with your average package, to really kind of understand where your business is headed, and what tend to work last year well, and maybe what didn't work as well. I think the other thing that you need to take into when you look back at 2023 is that the macro trends that are happening. So, last year was a very unique year, relative to the year prior to that, is that, interest rates creeping up definitely slowed down the market, with a lot of home sellers not willing to move on price. And so there was a bit of a stagnation in the market. And what we saw, and I'll use the Canadian market. I mean, we're across North America, and definitely there's in pockets within these markets with things that happen. But, we definitely saw that spring market shift into the summer. And that could have affected your business. If you've got shooters that are working for you and they're not as busy as they needed to be, it's hard to keep them working and keep yourself working if you're working in the business. And there's choices to be made there. Do I go out, if I'm the owner of my business, do I go out and try to do business development, so when that business does tend to come back, and keep my shooters working, and when that business does come back, we're ready and prepared? Or do you have a shift? And what happened with this late spring market is, some of the photographers that we talked to had, the opportunity to speak to, is they did get a little slam during the summer when the business did bounce back a bit. And so, those are definitely considerations to keep in the back of your mind. I think a couple other things that I'll just touch on in terms of, questions that you want to ask yourself is, did you lose clients, and why? Did you win new business, and why? And, did you grow market share? So when you're analyzing your business, even if your business was down, how did you compare to the rest of the market? And things that we look at tend to be, instead of new listings, we tend to look at home sales. Home sales seems to be more of a consistent number, as where last year you saw a lot of homes coming on and off the market multiple times. So it's hard to evaluate yourself versus new listings. I think, Chris, you had some experience with that, and we looked in the past. We've always kind of looked at those home sales as a key approach. So I think that's really what sets you up for success in 2024. And we as a company do the same thing as we go into 2024, understanding what we did well and what areas we can improve upon is really what guides us in terms of our strategic direction for the follow from 2023 into 2024, and what kind of strategies we're going to employ. So it's just it's all to the nature of your business and what your goals are. So if you have a goal to grow your business, don't just focus on that key goal and that dollar number that you want to hit. If it is a dollar number, what is it that you want to do in your business? Do you want to grow a team? Do you want to grow revenue? Or if you're a single shooter, do you want to improve your efficiencies in your business? And those are really going to drive, the action plans and the tactics that are going to help you to, succeed within the next year.
You're really working hard for this one slide. I'm impressed.
Well, that's the whole point. We didn't get dressed up for nothing.
Okay, moving on. So here's our 5 things we're going to talk about today. That was amazing, by the way. Good stuff.
Can we run through them?
So, yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Go for, yeah.
So with that, Michael, I think has done a great job framing up really the, how you look at last year, 2023. From there, building your goals out for 2024. And then once you have those goals in place, we're not going to spend as much time on goal setting in this conversation, but we really wanted to give, practical, easy to execute tips and tricks really that you're able to take away from this webinar and implement, starting today or tomorrow in your business. We've limited it to 5 just based on timing. I think that between the 3 of us, we'd be happy to talk for a couple hours on this, and this by no means is an exhaustive list of strategies or tactics that you could implement. Understanding that for many of you today, you might be doing all 5 of these really well already. For other, for some of you, maybe there's going to be 1 or 2 that you haven't focused as much of your time on, and there's an opportunity to do just that. And hopefully we can give you some ideas and share with you how you can get started. So those 5 areas that we're going to focus on over the next 20 to 30 minutes include, to what Chris mentioned, optimizing your digital profile. So how do you really set your business up for success online and through digital means? And you'll see as we look at these, from a marketing lens, we talk about, top of funnel, which is really just brand awareness. How can you get your brand out there in front of agents and clients? And then as you move through the funnel, your website is the goal of where you're trying to get folks to. And that's as we move to point 3, really looking at how can you create the best web experience with the goal of bringing those clients that may be visiting or agents that are visiting your site in through a form fill, or they're reaching out to you on social media to start that conversation. From there, more of a sales business lens is actually looking at your offering that you have today. So maybe there's, things that you might want to add as you move into 2024, potentially drone, short video continues to perform really well. So Michael will take us through that and looking at, your offering. And then from there, it's really about, once you've landed that client, how do you deliver, what we call a rockstar customer experience? How do you give them the best possible experience, both with the deliverables, so the photos, and content media that you're going to provide, but it goes beyond that. And what does that look like? So we're going to cover these 5. As Chris mentioned, feel free to pepper questions throughout. If you want us to focus on area in the Q&A, we can, but the Q&A is open and we'll get to that towards the end. So we're going to jump right in. The first one, in terms of optimizing your digital profile, what does this really mean? It means getting your business information out onto the web through search platforms. So a great place to start is just your Google business profile. Some of you may have that set up. It might have been a while since you've looked at it. So really, there's kind of one thing to keep in mind. You want to provide as much info as possible. But secondly, it's important that that info is relevant and up to date. So potentially, you have a new phone number. your email address has changed. You may even have a business, new address for your business. Take 10 or 15 minutes to look at your Google profile, see that your information is up to date. And then also spend some time thinking how you can, refresh that content that's on there. So beyond just the contact information, whether it's Google or any of the local directories or resources available to you, they have a variety of photos that you can add, video media, keywords, tags, which is really important. When you have potentially a new agent or an agent that's been in the industry for a while in your area searching for a real estate photographer, you want your name to be served up. You want your business to come up when they're searching. And something that really helps and adds to that and adds credibility is client reviews. So the more reviews you can get onto your profiles, whether it's on a Google business profile or we'll talk to your social media platforms, I think they're liquid gold. In our business, we look to get as many of those client reviews as possible. It's so much better to have somebody else celebrating and recognizing the great work that you're doing instead of just you talking about it. Whatever you can do to get those reviews is important and will add a lot of weight to your profile online.
It's a key point. I think one of the things with a lot of real estate photography businesses is I guess it's the number of clients that you have. We've looked at a number of businesses over the years, and pretty consistently it follows like Pareto's protocol, 80-20 rule, in terms of 80% of your clients are doing 20% of your clients are doing 80% of your business. And when you look at it, if you look down your client list, how many of the agents out there, quite often you'll have several at the top that are driving a lot of the number of shoots that you're doing on a day-to-day basis or a month-to-month basis. Quite quickly that drops down, and having a nice cohort between that 5 and 20 listings a year. And this is consistent with the agents that are out there. You'll see numbers in the market like the average agent does 12 listings, but in reality it's a few that are doing a large number of the listings and a lot of them that are not doing as many. And so quite often you'll have quite a few number of agents that are doing between 1 and 2 and 3 shoots in a year. And so that's that long tail of business that's still important to your business. And so where do you get those clients from? Sometimes they don't have a regular photographer that they're going to, so they're going online and doing a search. And if you come up on that Google search with your business profile, you're ideally to pop up there, or through SEM search as well. If you are buying ads on Google search or Bing search, you're going to pop up there first and you're going to capture those clients.
All right.
I can add to that. Can I go?
Please do.
So I really like this slide because each of these things has really tangible benefits. So when I'm searching for businesses online, I don't like it when there's incomplete information. It looks sketchy. Yeah. So, if I have to choose between one person or another online, there's not much to go by except for whatever's provided, right? So bullet point number 1 is great because with a little effort, you can differentiate yourself and look significantly less sketchy. And reviews are funny. We've asked people for reviews a lot of times, and you think it's going to be a big deal, but people are happy to give reviews, and it's huge. It's when I'm deciding about whether to hire someone or buy something, I trust reviews probably more than I should. So that's that's a good one. And then refreshing it with new content, that's really obvious too. But nobody does it, right? It's like extra work. But adding extra content from time to time is totally worth it because it shows that that you actually exist and that you're still in business, right?
And really an extension of your digital profile is your social platforms.
That's a good segue.
I think the main goal of any social media for a business is to reach your potential buyer prospect where they're going to be. I think that's paramount. And then from there, you're probably going to have a couple channels. So it's likely going to be, maybe Facebook, Instagram, TikTok are probably going to be the main 3. But then trying to decide if you can only focus your attention on 1 or maybe 2, where do you put that attention? And again, it goes down to reaching, the most of your audience in that given place. Social media, I get it. It can be a beast. It can become overwhelming. It can be difficult to manage. So I think looking at, a few things to address that. Focus on 1, maybe 2 platforms. and start doing those really well before you expand outside of that. A second thing I would encourage is spending, an hour or two a month building out what we call a content calendar, but it's essentially you're going to be scheduled posts for that given month that you can schedule in advance. Meta has a great business tool on the back end that allows you to do this. You can schedule the post in advance, and then you can somewhat set it and forget it, which is great. So you're not having to go in daily, try and come up with content ideas, and then worry about scheduling those. So I would say, if you can get into a habit of doing it in advance, it'll make things a lot easier. And then from there, it's important to engage with your followers. So putting out content is wonderful, but actually, replying and engaging when they are liking, commenting, resharing your content takes it to the next level and really helps grow that follower base for your profile. Now, what are you sharing? Photos, your media that you're capturing for listings, is a great place to start. But I think, it's important to differentiate yourself and your business amongst your competitors, especially in your area and your region. And what really makes you unique typically is you. So don't be afraid to share your personality. Let them see the person behind the camera, I think is important. Get on there, short videos perform really well right now. And they don't have to be, overproduced. It can be captured just through your smart device or your iPhone. But don't be afraid to jump on and share a bit about yourself. Let them, into who the photographer is that they'd be working with. And I think it goes a long way, and you'd find a lot more success. What else do you guys want to add?
I mean, I think you're spot on in terms of being, where your audience is, and maybe focus on that one platform. It's a lot of time to manage all these different platforms, and so if there's one that you particularly do well with and want to engage in, I know you see a lot of interesting content out there, and as you said, you can differentiate yourself by putting behind the scenes shoots on there and showing kind of all the effort that goes into a typical real estate listing, and there's a lot there that goes into that. So it's kind of fun. You can have some fun with it as well.
All right.
Yeah.
So you move from there. You've got your digital profile set up. Google's optimized. You feel good with that. You've picked a couple platforms, building out your social, potentially your business page on Facebook. And then from there, you kind of move into the website. And this is typically kind of the bread and butter main platform that folks are going to use with the goal of, educating, highlighting what sets you apart and highlighting your offering, showing your pricing model potentially, or your packages that you have available. And then with the goal of, that form fill, somebody actually, an agent typically leaving their information for you to get in contact with them. I would encourage, at the start of 2024, looking at your website, just quick audit, go, through the lens of an agent or a potential prospect, walk through the steps. So what does that landing page look like? Could it be refreshed? Do you have a lot of copy? You probably want to slim it down if you can. Visuals work really well, short sentences, headlines, quick to read. In today's world, everyone has shorter and shorter attention span. So if it's scrollable, that's better. But then go through the journey. So look at, the pages inside. What are your product pages or your offerings? How is that positioned? I know, Michael, you've got an interesting anecdote to just share around packages and actually how you want to list them.
Yeah, I've got some feedback from some of the photographers in our network that have changed their packages around. I think the big one is, keeping it simple. And I know this can be contentious. Some people don't want to have put their pricing on their website, but if you do put your pricing on the website, having those packages easy to understand, not having too many packages or offerings on that website, it makes it more confusing. So keep it narrowed down, and then just maybe have add-ons from there and have some base packages to work on. And what we saw is a couple of the photography companies they talked to in the last couple of years have altered their packages from, instead of lowest to highest to lowest. And what they saw is more people trading up into some of those higher packages, which is great news story in terms of being able to trade those customers up because they just clicked on those higher packages. So, yeah.
I think once you've completed the audit, looked at your content, I think, there's other areas that I would encourage you spending a bit of time. SEO is probably, front and foremost. So using keywords, essentially, that the search engines, Google and Bing, recognize. And as people are searching for, real estate photographer, we're in Kitchener-Waterloo, so Kitchener-Waterloo, based on those keywords, your website may rank higher than others in the same space. And you're able to do that based on a few things. But one, Google looks at authority. So the content you have on your website, if it looks legitimate, it will use that Google Business Review ranking. There's a variety of things that go into this algorithm, but really having strong content will help improve your rankings on Google and these search engines. If you want to take it to the next step, there are tools, SEMrush, for example, that whether you use a free or paid version, give you a bit more detail at back-end analytics and metrics to how your site's performing. And then there's other areas that you could look at, including metadata. So when you have images on your website, what keywords and tags are you putting behind that? Another opportunity would actually be some sort of blog that you'd be able to write content for on a regular basis. Again, those blogs will rank and can bring in potential clients to your site. But that, I would say is probably a step down, level 2, to really focus on your website and trying to drive additional traffic there. We won't get into it here. Beyond that, Michael's touched on it a bit earlier, but the world of paid is vast. If you do want to start exploring that, I would say just start small. You don't need a significant budget. You can get very targeted with both your audience and your region now, which is great. So you can look to really narrow that focus, start with a small budget, whether it's on Google search ads or through any of the social media platforms. See what works and really test as you get going there, and then adjust accordingly based on really conversions and how your ads are performing.
Would you say that for some of the social ads, it's more about building that brand out as opposed to the search, somebody's wanting that transaction here and now? So that's going to capture that long tail of those agents that don't necessarily have a go-to source for photography or media.
Yeah,
that they're gonna that's kind of the people you're going to target with those
100%
ads.
Yeah.
Chris, anything to add?
You guys do great. You don't even need me. Actually, you know what? I gave you guys a free pass on the first 2 slides, but break this down for me. What's the bottom line? Why do I care? This is a lot of work. Working on websites is hard.
Why do you care? So I think the website outside, I would think your website could be, is a holy grail of your digital brand and your business online. It's essentially, in today's age, your digital storefront. It's going to be where most of your platforms and profiles will link to. You'll likely see the most traffic and engagement on your website, even over social platforms. So I think it's really, looking at it as if you were selling some sort of good, but it's a storefront to your business, and a way to interact and sell your services while maybe you're not there. So I think it's crucial to spend time on your website. And then like I said, that would be my answer, Chris.
That's a good answer. All right. Look at that. Okay.
All right. Well, evaluating your offering. I mean, one thing that we've seen over the years is, the expansion of real estate photography into real estate media companies and brand companies that are really helping, offer more to their clients. And so there's lots of different ways of doing that. So, if you look at a lot of the real estate media companies, they're offering just beyond photos, everything that kind of, what you need for a listing nowadays. Listings are becoming more engaging for the buyer. If we back up a step, all the search portals are trying to drive more information into what they're doing to capture eyeballs online. And it's left up to the real estate professional or the real estate agent to really engage somebody with that property, that home. And so they're giving precedence to more rich media that's being put online. And so what that means is, is for the agent and to get precedence with your listing, that is an opportunity to offer things that buyers want to see when they're searching for a home online. Zillow has a consumer report where they look at what home buyers are looking for. National Association of Realtors does a home buyers study every year where they query thousands of home buyers. And, you know, typically what comes up is photos are still number one in terms of engaging somebody with that property, because those are those beautiful shots that really help, you know, draw someone's attention. But Zillow says the number two thing is actually floor plans, because it helps buyers understand context of that property. Sometimes the photos are misleading in how big the rooms are, where the storage area is, what the fit and flow is. That's where floor plans really give you a good understanding of the layout and if that property is going to work for that home buyer and their family. National Association of Realtors, they list floor plans as number three. Number two, they list as property details. So having all that key information in there beyond the rooms and the price of the home, you know, what are the sizes of the rooms? How big is the home? What is the square footage of the home? And one thing that we saw, you know, over the last couple of years on studies on realtor.com is that home buyers want, you know, more consistent and reliable information. And so if you're providing reliable information about a property and the size of that property, that's one of the key of the 5 factors that goes into the value of that home. And so really understanding that. And, you know, those are all great things. Other things are, you know, being able to add in things like this drone 360 that Chris had just pulled up here onto this property. Really an engaging way to show that property from now top down. And you have that ability to walk into that property and really understand it a little bit better. So having things like 3D walkthroughs as well as on that list of what buyers want to see. So now they can understand and walk around that home, and they're a better qualified lead before they actually go to that open house and before they engage with that agent as well. Things like video and I don't know if you want to pull up the other one. Pull up the other property there.
Just have a
Yeah, that's it. Perfect. So you want to click on.
doing.
So things like video and being able to have that video in there is also another engaging way. If someone's interested in the property, they're now going to spend more time on the listing. And for the search portals, this is why they're giving it precedence, because now it keeps people on their search portal longer, it keeps people on the listing longer, and because you've got all this engaging, rich media. And you as content creators are really being able, how do I deliver all that content? And I think that's, you know, one thing that we've seen is that, you know, we're about floor plans, accurate measurements, area calculations, and the details about the property and the ability to walk through the property. But we give you this ability to, you know, add the photos, add video, add 360s of the drones and add drone imagery. And that just keeps, again, people on the listing longer. So if you go to something like can you pull up the, like a, you know, a Zillow example or a realtor? You know, there's different examples of where now these search portals are embedding these tools. So how do you have all this information on one listing? And how do you deliver all that content with one link? And so what's great is, you know, if an agent can grab that one link and now embed that into the MLS, your video shows up there, your photos show up there, the walkthrough, the 3D tour is embedded in there, the floor plans are there, details about that property. And so now someone has a very engaging and really gains a good understanding of how that property works. And it allows you to deliver all your content. And, you know, that's the big thing, is about how do you make more with every shoot? How do you drive more value to your clients as the expert in telling, you know, showing them and giving them guidance on how to really market and sell that home. And I think that's really what your position is as a partner for the real estate professional. So those are some things to talk on. The other big ones too are, you know, branding or social media management as well. It's still something that you can start to see a lot of companies starting to get into and grow for their clients, and not only for themselves. So anything else you want to touch on, Chris?
Yeah, I think you got it. So there's things that buyers want to see. And you mentioned the NAR report, and a lot of those things are baked in. Is there any of those things you want to show while I have the demo? So you mentioned floor plans.
Oh, I thought you were touching on it. So
I was, but I mean, you know.
All right, so go to
like 5
details.
minutes. You wanna?
Usually I talk for too long, but
Well,
now
okay,
I'm
but there's
gonna
more
give
than
go.
just, okay, so you have photos. So photos are king, they're number one.
Yeah,
Then you've got 3D tours. You can see one on screen,
Sure.
obviously. Then you've got floor plans. In addition to that, there's more. There's room dimensions. That's a big deal. Room dimensions are huge because if you don't provide them, your client, as in the real estate agent, has to make them. So that's kind of cool if you can
Well,
provide those.
yeah, and so you know what's interesting too is so with Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, especially going into next year, they're really driving home for the mortgage appraisal business. You know, having ANSI compliant floor plans. And so this is really what they're looking back and leaning back on for their unique property reports. If they're going to take over a mortgage, and you know, there's a percentage of mortgages that they won't even have an appraisal done on, they need to have ANSI compliant floor plans to have that GLA score. And you know, if you can deliver on that, that helps also maybe speed up that transaction process between the buyer and the seller so that they can get that mortgage approved. Also helps to provide all this information up front. What, you know, other things that from our standpoint, where we're seeing some of the photographers going into, in markets like these big cities, Toronto, and I'll use some of the cities like in Atlanta, some of these markets where the homes are a little bit older and people are buying them up and they're starting to do additions or alterations to these homes. Now they've got these floor plans, or they've captured all this data for a property. They can turn around and share that data with the home buyer so that they can now get access, early access to that home, share that with their designers and architects. And so what they could do if they had an iGuide on that property is they can upgrade to what we call as a DWG format. And it's closer to an as-built property. And it's really a big head start for that architect or designer to start working on that property even prior to having access to that home before that buyer has even purchased that home. So helping not only speed up the transaction process through the mortgage appraisal, but you're helping speed up the transition in terms of being able to, you know, transform that home or that house into your home for you and your family.
Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to the beginning. So what's the right offering then? Is it a mix? Should you focus on one thing?
So I think the big thing is providing information that buyers want to see and that larger listing. So
Agree. Is that presentation? Oh, here we go.
there we go.
Customer experience. This is your chance to shine, Skylar.
So I think customer experience is, you know, is crucial to one, not only land new clients, but probably more than that is maintain and grow the existing clients that you have today. It's always easier to take your current client and expand that business than it is to try and land a new client or customer and bring them in. You know, there's a few things I think you can keep in mind when you operate kind of through that lens, but really something that I think is crucial is just being easy to do business with and to do business for. And that is really from, you know, the first touch points on your website through to, you know, how are you delivering your media package or your listing package, or using, you know, potentially a platform to bring that all together and deliver it in a nice cohesive package. What analytics are you providing? What's that, you know, billing and scheduling experience like? These would be all things to consider and look at moving into this year. You know, and is there areas to improve to just try and really delight your clients with, you know, the best experience that you're able to provide. So I think is number one. The second, I think Michael got into it at the start, is really looking to, you know, reconnect with your clients. So looking at who you did business with last year, who were in, you know, your top 10 or 20%. Is there an opportunity to thank them, you know, recognize them, reconnect with them going into 2024? You really are an extension of their business. So trying to understand, you know, how you can support them. Are there things that you could be doing different? Is there, you know, pieces of media that you could add? Potentially, you know, drone could be an example, and maybe you want to get into drone photography and add that because it's something your you know, clients and agents are looking for. And then, reward. This can mean, a lot of things. It could be thanking someone for a potential referral that they sent to you. It could be, recognizing, that top 10% with, is it a dinner, or you take them out, or an activity or event? But just being able to thank them, for the business that they brought to you through last year, I think goes a long way in building those relationships, which really is kind of the cornerstone of all this is really around those relationships and how you can maintain and continue to develop them. And then the final piece here is really about trying to secure, additional testimonials and quotes. They're great once you have them. You can use them, across a variety of pieces online. And they just go a long way to help, really highlight who you are and what your business stands for. Beyond what you're saying about yourself. So those are kind of three things I would look at, but I'm sure Michael, you probably have some additional.
Well, yeah, I think agents are relationship people, right? This is a relationship business. I think a lot of real estate photographers, or a lot of you have relationships with your clients, and they tend to want to work with you. Even if you have a team, they tend to want to work with that one particular person on your team, and that's always been a challenge. Because you are an extension of their team, you make them look good, you look and shine. And Chris taught me that when I came into this business, as a photographer. I think a lot of you could probably elaborate better on this, is that a lot of the business you got is that people ask for you because you made them look good in front of their clients.
Yeah, they like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I like to spend the time to explain things, especially when they're complicated. So working with something beyond photos, like floor plans especially, means that sometimes you have to put a little bit of extra effort in to walking someone through it. And I always found that it was really easy to do that with the agent in front of the homeowner, directly to the homeowner. I would explain what a floor plan is and what I was doing with the technology, and the agent was there to hear it. And that extra effort really paid off, because then the agents and the homeowners obviously see the value in what you're doing, or they see more value than they would if they didn't really understand what it is that you're giving them. Like, I think everybody gets photos. It's pretty easy. Video, yeah, it's pretty easy too. Floor plans and measurements, a little bit more complicated. So it depends on your area, obviously, but it's typically used in a few simple different ways. So if people don't know that, then they might not see the value. So yeah, soft skills are critical. Know what you're getting at?
Exactly.
Okay, so we're gonna run out of time. We're gonna do questions now. If you have any questions, chuck them in the chat and I will read them out loud. We already have a few, so I'm gonna start. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
I'm gonna make you answer the questions. That's why I'm asking. Okay, Brian asks, do you have any plans to offer white labeling for youriGuide.com?
At this point in time, no. I think the easy answer to say to that is, because we have built this brand around iGuide, that helps us leverage getting into the search portals. So, for example, getting into Zillow, Realtor.com, Realtor.ca, to white label you would lose that ability to be able to share that. And when we look at the analytics of someone who's sharing a tour, if that agent doesn't have a large social media following, and you look at a majority of agents that are sharing tours online, they get the majority of their views through the search portals. And that's what really bolsters the analytics at the end of the day. And the analytics are what the agents turn around and show their clients the value that they brought to the table. Here, feel good about me selling your house in a week because I did all these things for you. And this is how many people came through the virtual tour and how many people came back and saw it again. And these are all the channels that I marketed your property on. It's a great way to show value. It's also a great way to use that in a listing presentation. Take your last listing and say, this is what I did on my last listing. So the short answer is it just makes it challenging, I think, for this market in order to leverage our ability to try to get onto more search portals, rental portals, all types of different portals.
Okay, next question. John asks, when we develop different types of content, i.e. photo, walkthrough video, floor plan, is there a custom one URL option, ideally the property address, to share with iGuide? The answer is yes. It's a softball question. Do you want to
Yeah.
answer?
No, well, you might know that. It's a technical, so
So-
you're just shoot
So
on it.
the iGuide is a content delivery platform. This is what I think you're getting at. So yes, you can share all of those things with one URL. In the iGuide report, agents or whoever gets the report, usually an agent, is provided with one of two URLs, a branded version and an unbranded version. And typically, depends on your area, you're going to use the unbranded version for the local MLS. And that link will go to the iGuide tour, which you saw earlier. And that tour can contain photos in the photo gallery, a 3D tour, video, room dimensions, total square footage, with one link. That's it. It's super easy. It's a huge quality of life issue for most people because MLSs are still archaic and often will only provide you with one link opportunity or field for media or virtual tours. Some of them have more, but if they only have one, having that single link makes your life so much easier. I hope that answers your question. Okay, next question, John, another John. How do you add a drone pano to an iGuide? These are all gonna be technical, aren't they? All right.
We'll let Skylar answer that one.
Yeah, you wanna do it? No,
No
I'll
room to
do it.
sketch.
So the way that you add a drone panel
Replace
is that in post-processing, you can add any equirectangular photo you wish. We call them user panoramas, and which is a fancy way of saying from any camera, it doesn't matter what. So drone is very popular. So Michael had the demo up earlier because it's obviously pretty cool looking, but technically it can be from any camera. As long as it's in that 1:2 equirectangular format. And it's really easy. Just right click, add a photo, and then you can put it wherever you want on the tour. So the way that an iGuide is set up is that you have, your floor plan, and then there are dots on that floor plan representing, points of view that you can click on. And so you can place the dot for your user panorama wherever you want. So with a drone, typically it's placed outside of the property, kind of, like in the rough position of where the drone would be flying. I hope that answers your question.
There's likely probably a resource on that, Chris, the help center.
There is,
I'd
yeah.
imagine.
So yeah, if you want more information, you can go to our help center, 100%.
I'm in insurance.
I'm gonna say answer that. Oh, there's a lot of questions. We're gonna be here all day. I'm gonna pick the good ones. Sorry. So I'm gonna do this one
No,
first.
we did it.
Oh, we already did that, right? Cool. Okay, Samuel asks, I am in the insurance construction usage area of iGuide, and I'm wondering if there are plans to increase the storage of an iGuide to over a year. I would be totally fine with paying a fee to extend storage time.
Well, it's great to know that you'd be fine to pay.
Yeah.
Actually, today, so we don't charge
Yeah.
for hosting past year one on our Essentials portal. And so all you have to do is it automatically locks after a year, but you can go back into the iGuide and extend the dates on it. You also have the ability to download that offline version of that iGuide where you can self-host that and keep that in perpetuity, I guess. So, so yeah, you have those options today.
Next question. Anonymous attendee asks, sorry, my son or daughter would like to buy a camera. How much does it cost? How does it work?
Yes. So, I mean, you can go online to our store. We periodically have promotions and sales, but the average price is $2,600 USD on our website.
I will plug that we have a promo right now, ends on February 13th. So you've got just under a week. If you are interested, you'll save a couple $100 on the camera itself. But the very special piece is actually iGuide Instant, one of the versions of iGuide that you're able to get. If you do buy a camera through this promo, is going to be free to you until the end of April. So you can go out and create as many iGuide instances as you'd like. Still includes a 3D tour with an interactive floor plan, so you're not getting it downloadable. But definitely feel free to check it out if you're interested.
And just to clarify that, just so it's iGuide Instant that you'd be able to run with on that promotion. It's not the standard or premium product.
Okay, so John has a follow-up question. So the link leads to a menu that is easy for clients, potential buyer to navigate. Yeah, that's kind of the whole point. So the idea is that that one link goes in the MLS, and then on the listing somewhere, sometimes it's a button, sometimes it's embedded, it depends on where you are, you would get access to the tour, and that tour is going to have everything baked in. The gallery's there, you can click on it. It's kind of set up like a little website, so it has like a menu bar, and then the obvious benefit of that is that the core experience is the floor plan on the left and the visuals on the right. And that's what makes iGuide really special, is that you can explore a property as a potential buyer, and you can get a sense of the space, from the floor plan while looking at the space from the 360s. And so everything else is part of the rest of the iGuide, in the menu bar. Okay, David asks, who should I be asking about the MLS rules regarding branded, unbranded, and other branding in all media types? Or is that something left up to the agent to deal with? So that is technically the agent's responsibility to know that and to let you know that. But that doesn't mean they won't make mistakes. And obviously you don't want to, set your client up for failure. So it's a good idea in your area to figure out what the rules are so that you can recommend to your agent client what they should be doing. So because they're going to ask you, they're going to say, hey, how does this work? I have this report. How do I share this stuff? So it's good to know what to tell them. They should know, but you should also know.
Yeah, and you can reach directly out to the MLS. The MLS will tell, they usually publish the rules, or you could reach out to someone there. They can help you out.
Yeah, we got that one. Can you download a Radix? Oh, sorry, Brian asks, can you download a Radix or Instant Sketch offline? Instant Sketch?
Instant Sketch,
No.
well,
I don't
no,
think so. Radix you can, but
well, Instant Sketch you're going to get as an ESX,
Yeah,
so
you pick
it's
it
not
up
an
in exact
offline
image.
version. You get it as an ESX. So yeah, I mean, you'll have that file. And Radix you can download as a offline, right?
you can. You absolutely can. Oh, that's a good question. We'll do this one first. Okay, so John's got 2 more questions. Thank you, John. John asks, some of your camera purchase options include promotional marketing support. I'd like to learn more about that. How would one go about learning more about that? I don't think we have enough time to dive into that today, but
Sorry, camera purchase options includes promotional marketing support.
yeah, like marketing catalog.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we have the marketing catalog online where you can download. We have assets that you can use. There's some presentations, some brokerage presentations, postcards that you can download and then put your own branding on and use that as well. And I think we're looking through the next year here, doing adding more resources to
100%.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're actively, John, looking at our resource library to support photographers selling iGuide to your clients. It's all going to be migrating to the help center shortly, but the help center is available to all of our iGuide operators, and we'll continue to publish new resources that you're able to use. With that, question period has
Questions
come
are
to an
over.
end.
That's it. You're done.
We'll move to the draw.
It's draw time.
So we've got 5 of these Atari systems. We will draw the names here.
Yeah.
We will do
You
the
guys wanna do
first
one?
name and announce the last
ahead.
initial just for some confidentiality. And then a member of the iGuide team will reach out just to confirm your shipping details, and we'll get them sent out in the next week or so.
Yeah, hold it. This
So
is
these are,
serious. I love
Yeah.
giving away free stuff. Okay, I'll do the first one, then you guys do it.
I'll just go for it.
the first
Uh,
winner.
First winner is Sebastian D.
All right.
Okay. I can't look.
Winner number 2, Jonathan P.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you do it. This is the fun part. We're gonna put all that work in. Now we get to give stuff away.
The third winner is Ben Z.
Winner number 4, Chris, who do we got?
It is Jacob F.
All right.
Nice.
Okay, one more.
And
All
the
right.
final, number 5. See who do we got? The final winner is JM. All right.
Great.
Emails to follow. We'll confirm your delivery details.
Congratulations.
Okay, that's it. We're all done. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much for
attending.
joining
Really
us.
appreciate it. A couple reminders just before we go. We have a promo on right now. If you buy a camera, and you get free iGuide Instant until when?
End of April.
End of April. That's a crazy deal. Is there anything else you guys want to remind
Yeah.
these people of before we go?
Yeah, if you want to reach out, just on the website, you can fill out a form. If you want to talk to one of our product experts, they can connect you. They can set up a demo and they can walk you through the product, answer all your questions, just one-on-one. And that's what they're there for. They're there to answer your questions and help out. So feel free to reach out. We'd love to chat with you.
And then in terms of the tips and tricks we shared today, that will also be coming to everyone that registered for the webinar. So stay tuned for that email. It'll be coming in the next few days, and you'll get a copy of this presentation we went through. Beyond that, I'd encourage, if you have questions, comments, thoughts you want to talk about, marketing or sales further, the three of us are always here, and we'd happy to connect and continue the conversation. Thanks again for joining.